What's up again, guys? Brian here at 3TR, and here's my review of Quantic Dream's latest game titled Beyond Two Souls. Now, in terms of overall narrative, this game you play as the character named Jodie Holmes, who is brilliantly played by Ellen Page, and you really follow her over the course of about 15 years, spanning from when she was a young kid to when she becomes a young adult. And the thing about Jodie that makes her unique is that she's connected to this entity named Aiden. And to me, Aiden really plays as like a guardian spirit who really sticks with Jodie through all these struggles. And the interesting thing about this narrative is that it's not done in a linear style, as in there's a beginning and an end. This game actually starts you at the end, jumps you to the beginning, and then in between these 2 points, it really just jumps through multiple different locations and time periods. And so it does make it a little bit hard to follow once you really experience the entire game, because things aren't done in order. It kind of just jumps around. So, if you know what point Z and point A is, then you'll jump from point N to point P to point D to point J, and it's kind of jumbled. It's like the movie Memento, which is directed by Christopher Nolan, as in that movie is not really told in a straightforward linear style. It kind of just jumps all over the place, and it expects you, the viewer, or in this case, the gamer, to really piece up these certain time moments so that you then kind of understand the overall timeline. Now, I would like to say that the look of the game, it's not the best looking game, but it certainly looks like a much more polished version of Heavy Rain. The facial animations really do pick off emotion, and that's something that the actors, which in this case the main two leads were Ellen Page and William Dafoe, really did bring to life. I mean, this is like A-class Hollywood performances, and the rest of the cast of this game also does a really great job at portraying their characters. And even over the course of the game, you actually do get to see them age. And it looks actually quite well, which was something I wasn't expecting too much from this game. Now, going into gameplay, there certainly is much more of an emphasis on the player's interaction between Jodie and Aiden. On Aiden's part, you really use him in order to interact with the environment. The fact that he is a spirit allows you certain, say, special abilities. He's able to really look ahead of Jodie in order to like scout out the location. He can go through walls. He can possess certain characters. He can take control of their bodies. He can choke them out. He can interact with certain objects. He can cause certain distractions, which will then allow Jodie to really explore the overall world and move forward. The only downside to this is that over the course of the game, the distance to which Aiden can travel changes, and there's really no explanation. Earlier on in the game, there's certain moments where Aiden can only travel, say, 5 or 6 feet away from Jodie, and then other times he can travel like 30 or 50 feet away from her, and it's never quite explained. I mean, it has nothing to do with her age, because when you're playing as young Jodie, Aiden can still move pretty far, and when you're an adult, he can't move very far at all. So it's not really explained, and I really wish that the writers would have explained this a little bit more. On Jodie's part, in terms of gameplay, it plays a lot like Heavy Rain, although it's done on a much harder scale. Jodie's sections are done in QuickTime events. However, the QuickTime events don't tell you exactly what movement to do on your analog stick. You actually have to pay close attention to Jodie's movements, and depending on whether she's moving an arm this way or jumping over something or ducking over something, you really have a small amount of time to react. And over the course of the game, you will make several mistakes, and over the course they will show. Like if she gets a certain scar during a certain time period, then that scar will stay with that person. And another thing that adds to this particular game is choice. Quantic Dream, especially since Heavy Rain has made a very heavy emphasis on players' interaction will reflect the overall direction of the storytelling. And that is just as strong here as it was in Heavy Rain. And you're going to be forced to make certain decisions which will drastically change how the world really perceives Jodie, as in really her experience with Aiden to really her interactions with other characters, and how other interactions with characters with Jodie will change over the course of the time period that the narrative is told into. And that's something that Quantic Dream really does better than any other game. It's not to say that this game is perfect. One of the biggest flaws that I felt with the narrative was how it was told. The fact that it's not done in a linear style, it really kind of removes suspense. And sometimes there's even some parts that kind of contradict themselves. Like when you see Jodie at the end of the game, it's clear that you know where she is, but your choices leading up to it don't take you there, and so it's a bit confusing. And there are even certain moments where she will forget about things that actually happened in her past that you yourself were involved in, and yet the game doesn't really, it doesn't bring them up more. It's like this was a significant moment in her past, and now that we're in the future, we don't talk about it because that actually would have had some real relevance to what is happening at the present. So there are some continuity errors, and one particular section in general had Jodie actually venturing off into like a third world country, and from a logic standpoint, I can't really imagine the CIA actually doing what they were doing to Jodie in order to achieve this particular mission. I just wasn't buying it, and I just can't really see Ellen Page pulling off an action star presence. It just doesn't work. I just don't think she could pull that off. But despite that, this is still a very great game, but I would only recommend this to gamers who were a fan of Heavy Rain's gameplay style, or those who are looking for something different than what they're used to, and are willing to put story ahead of gameplay like I do, which is why I'm happy to give Beyond Two Souls an 8.5 out of 10. If you're really on the edge of whether or not you want to try this game, I would suggest you rent it, play it for a few hours, and then make your final decision. This was a great way to kind of end the series of great PlayStation 3 exclusives. And if you like this game review, please like, comment down below, and please subscribe to check for me in my future movie and video game reviews. And if you like this video also, you can also press one of the links in the description down below and follow me on Twitter or friend me on Facebook. And like always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.